Cold cases, unsolved crime cases, and unsolved disappearances are all things that I love to explore. And I know you do too. You intriguing and intellectually minded person. Today, we are discussing a very interesting cold case known as the Yuba County Five. Now, before you grab your snacks and settle in for this wild ride, and trust me, you'll need those snacks. Let me warn you that this case might just keep you up at night, and not in the way that your neighbor's cat's 3 a.m. concert does. Picture this. February 24th, 1978. Five young men attend a basketball game at California State University, Chico. They pile into their 1969 Mercury Montego, probably arguing about who gets shotgun. You know, typical guy stuff. Little did anyone know, this would be the last time they'd be seen alive together. But these weren't just any five guys. They were Gary Mathias, 25, Jack Hewitt, 24, William Sterling, 29, Ted Weiher, 32, and Jack Madruga, 30. Now, here's where things get interesting. Four of these men had developmental disabilities, while Gary Mathias was a psychiatric outpatient who had served in the Army. Despite their challenges, they were all functional, independent, and part of a close-knit basketball team called the Gateway Gators. You might be thinking, okay, five guys disappear after a basketball game. Tragic but straightforward, right? Oh, honey, buckle up because this rabbit hole goes deeper than your mom's Facebook feed. These men weren't just casual acquaintances. They were teammates, friends, and their disappearance would become one of the most baffling cases in California history. They lived in Marysville and Yuba City, about 50 miles north of Sacramento. Their families described them as responsible and reliable, not the type to just vanish into thin air like your socks in the laundry. Let's rewind to that fateful day. The group had been looking forward to this basketball game for weeks. Their team was playing in a tournament, and despite losing, spirits were high. They had plans to play in another game the next day. They stopped at a convenience store, bought snacks and drinks, you know, the usual road trip essentials. The clerk who saw them later told police they seemed to be in good spirits, joking around like any group of friends would. But here's where things start getting weird. And I mean weird like finding a pineapple on your pizza weird, but way more sinister. The route home from Chico to Marysville was straightforward, about an hour's drive on Highway 70. They knew this route well, yet somehow, their car would later be found in the completely opposite direction, up in the Plumas National Forest, at an elevation of 4,400 feet. Think about that for a second. These men, who were known for being creatures of habit, who followed routines religiously, ended up 70 miles off course, in the mountains, in winter, without telling anyone. To put this in perspective, imagine heading to your local grocery store and somehow ending up in another state. That's the level of what the heck we're dealing with here. Now, I know what you're thinking. Maybe they decided to take a spontaneous adventure. Well, hold on to your theories, because this is where our story takes a turn that's darker than your coffee without creamer. Their families knew something was wrong when none of them showed up for the basketball game the next day. These were guys who lived for their basketball games. Missing one would be like a teenager voluntarily giving up their phone. It just wouldn't happen. The police were notified, but initially they weren't too concerned. After all, these were grown men, and it wasn't unusual for people to take off for a day or two. But their families knew better. They knew something was terribly, horribly wrong. 4 days after their disappearance, plot twist incoming. Their Mercury Montego was found by a Forest Service worker. And let me tell you, the location was about as logical as putting pineapple on. Okay, I'll stop with the pizza references. The car was stuck in snow on a winding mountain road, 70 miles away from their intended route home. Now, here's the kicker that'll make your brain do somersaults. The car was in perfect working condition, with enough gas to get them home. It was just stuck in the snow, like me trying to get out of bed on Monday morning. Except this was way more suspicious. But wait, it gets weirder, and I mean weirder than finding out your cat has a secret Instagram account. Inside the car, investigators found maps, basketball programs from the game, and wait for it, unopened snacks. Who leaves unopened snacks in a car? That's like leaving Netflix on pause. It just doesn't happen. The car showed signs that someone had attempted to push it out of the snow. There were footprints around the vehicle. But here's the thing that made investigators scratch their heads harder than a lottery scratcher. The footprints led up the mountain. Up the mountain. Not down towards civilization, warmth, and survival. Now, let's talk about the weather conditions because they're crucial to this mystery. The night they disappeared, temperatures dropped to below freezing. These guys were dressed for a basketball game, not a mountain expedition. We're talking light jackets, not North Face winter gear. They were about as prepared for mountain weather as a penguin is for a beach party. The search effort that followed was massive, like trying to find your phone when it's on silent level of intensive. Search and rescue teams, helicopters, police units, and volunteers combed the area. But the harsh weather conditions and rough terrain made the search about as easy as explaining TikTok to your grandparents. Then came the first major discovery, and folks, this is where our story goes from mysterious to downright chilling. About 20 miles from where the car was found, searchers discovered a trailer at a place called Mountain House. Inside, they found evidence that someone had broken in and helped themselves to some of the food stored there. The weird part? The trailer's owner said about 20 cans of sea rations and other food items were opened and consumed. But here's the real head-scratcher. There was plenty of wood near the trailer. Yet whoever was there didn't start a fire in the perfectly good wood stove. In freezing temperatures, with matches readily available. That's like having Wi-Fi, but choosing to use carrier pigeons instead. The evidence suggested that multiple people had stayed in the trailer, but they'd left the heat off, choosing instead to wrap themselves in blankets. It was as if they were trying to avoid detection, like teenagers sneaking in past curfew. Except this was literally a matter of life and death. Now, let me paint you a picture of the search area. And trust me, it's scarier than your browser history. We're talking about deep mountain wilderness, with steep ravines, thick forests, and enough snow to make Elsa jealous. The kind of terrain where even experienced hikers would think twice about venturing, especially in winter. But the most baffling part? These 5 men, who all had various disabilities or mental health challenges, managed to navigate this treacherous terrain in the dark, in freezing conditions, without proper equipment or clothing. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube underwater possible, but why would you? The search continued for months, with hope dwindling faster than your phone battery at 1%. But what they would find next would turn this missing persons case into something that would baffle investigators for decades to come. Now, grab whatever's left of those snacks, because what I'm about to tell you is the kind of revelation that makes true crime enthusiasts lose sleep, and not in a binge-watching your favorite show kind of way. On June 4th, 1978, more than 3 months after the disappearance, a group of motorcyclists made a discovery that would turn this case from mysterious to nightmare fuel. In a Forest Service trailer at Meadow Haven, about 19.4 miles from where the car was found, they discovered the body of Ted Weiher. And folks, this is where our story takes a turn darker than your coffee order at 6 a.m. Ted was lying on a bed, partially mummified, wrapped in 8 sheets. He'd lost almost half his body weight, dropping from 200 pounds to just 100 pounds. But here's the real kicker that'll make your brain short-circuit. The trailer had enough food to last for a year. It had matches, fuel, and a heating system. Yet Ted had apparently starved to death, with only a few open sea ration cans found nearby. The forensics revealed that Ted had survived for up to 13 weeks after the disappearance. That's longer than most people's relationship. But why didn't he use the available resources? It's like having a fully charged power bank, but letting your phone die anyway. The trailer showed signs that others had been there too. There were multiple pairs of footprints, both inside and outside. Books and matches had been pulled from shelves. Someone had tried to start a fire in the wood stove but failed, which is about as successful as me trying to follow a diet during holiday season. Over the next few months, the remains of 3 more members of the group were found scattered across the area. Jack Madruga and William Sterling were discovered about 11 miles from the trailer. Jack Hewitt's remains were found several months later, in the same general area. But here's the mystery that'll haunt you more than your ex's playlist. Gary Mathias, the only member of the group with military experience and the one most capable of survival, was never found. Not a trace. Not a single clue. He vanished more completely than my motivation during a workout. Let's break down some of the most perplexing aspects of this case, because there are more red flags here than in a relationship advice subreddit. First, why did they drive up into the mountains? The weather was terrible, they were dressed inappropriately, and they had a perfectly good route home. It's like choosing to take a swim in the Arctic when you have a heated pool in your backyard. Second, why did they abandon a perfectly working car with gas in the tank? Even if they were stuck, staying with the vehicle is survival 101. Right up there with don't feed the bears and don't take candy from strangers. Third, and this is the real head-scratcher, why did they bypass multiple opportunities for help? They passed by several inhabited cabins before reaching the Meadow Haven trailer. That's like walking past dozens of Starbucks when you're desperate for coffee. Over the years, various theories have emerged, each more bizarre than the last. Some suggest they were running from something or someone. Others propose they had some sort of shared psychological break. There's even a theory about them witnessing a crime and fleeing into the wilderness. But here's what we know for certain. 5 men left a basketball game and ended up in a situation that defies logical explanation. 4 died under circumstances that make about as much sense as putting socks with sandals, and 1 vanished into thin air. The Yuba County Five case remains one of America's most baffling mysteries. It challenges everything we think we know about human behavior and survival instincts. These men made choices that seem to defy reason, logic, and basic self-preservation. Their families never got the closure they deserved. The questions remain as fresh today as they were in 1978. What drove these men up that mountain? What happened in those final weeks? And perhaps most importantly, what happened to Gary Mathias? As we wrap up this journey down one of true crime's most mysterious rabbit holes, remember that sometimes the most terrifying cases aren't about what we know. They're about what we don't know. The Yuba County Five reminds us that reality can be stranger than fiction, and some mysteries might never be solved. So, the next time you're driving home from a game, and your GPS suggests a weird route up a mountain, maybe just stick to the main road. Just saying. And as always, keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the most fascinating mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved. And there you have it, you magnificent true crime enthusiasts. If this case kept you on the edge of your seat, or made you question every late-night drive you've ever taken, then you know what to do. Smash that like button harder than those mysterious footprints in the snow. Got theories about what happened to the Yuba County Five? Think you've cracked the case? Or maybe you're just as baffled as a GPS in a tunnel? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and your theories might be wilder than this case. And hey, if you want to stay updated on more unsolved mysteries that'll keep you awake at night, sorry not sorry, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell like it owes you money. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. It's spookier than finding unopened snacks in an abandoned car. Remember, sharing is caring. If you know someone who loves a good mystery, share this video with them. They'll either thank you or blame you for their new true crime obsession. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the strangest cases are hiding right in your own backyard. Or, 70 miles up a snowy mountain. See you in the next mystery.